Welcome to our session on building online professional development, resources in K12 STEM, STEAM, and maker education. I'd like to begin with a short video.
Hi, I'm David Shernoff, Director of the Rutgers University Center for Mathematics, Science, and Computer Education, or as it's affectionately known around Rutgers, the CMSCE. For 34 years, the Rutgers CMSCE has been a leading center of STEM and STEAM education. Our programs and workshops have benefited teachers and students from over 2/3 of all school districts in New Jersey. We have an exceptionally qualified team of experienced and talented professional development specialists who can help you to develop the specific skills and techniques you desire to meet the many challenges of the classroom. Our mission is to improve STEM, STEAM, and makerspace education in New Jersey and beyond through customized instruction and research. In some projects, we may involve any of the world-renowned Rutgers University faculty and experts, or individuals in the business, nonprofit, or policy communities. And now we're launching this portal for online teacher professional development in STEM and STEAM. So please feel free to check out any of our videos, articles, or STEM Brief blogs with much more to come.
Hi everyone, I'm Suparna Sinha. I'm the Director of Professional Development at the Center for Mathematics, Science, and Computer Education. Our professional development sessions are conducted at our center at Rutgers University. In addition, we also go to school districts to deliver customized professional development based on the needs and requirement of the districts. Our goal is to prepare kindergarten through 12th grade teachers with innovative pedagogical practices that are based off research but can also be integrated to the needs of their district and students. With the onset of the maker movement, our center has worked closely with the Rutgers Makerspace to prepare teachers on how to use maker skills and tools such as 3D printers, laser cutters, vinyl cutters, etc. And on the maker mindset that is self-directed, being purpose-driven, being resourceful, empathetic, and iterative. We strive to bring our knowledge of research-based practices to the reality of classrooms.
Hello, I'm Todd Menadier, the maker educator of the Center for Math, Science, and Computer Education at Rutgers. I started my teaching career as a science guy. I taught chemistry, physics, and physical science, and I not only loved the hands-on activities and experiments, but I found my students learned so much more from them as well. I began to find new and engaging ways to incorporate the content and standards I was meant to teach into projects that were meaningful to the students and existed outside of the classroom while providing a comfortable space for failures, as well as time for iterations. Thus began my journey into project-based learning, and I slowly transitioned into more of a tech ed/maker role. With that said, I'd like to invite you to explore our portal and see what kind of making awaits you. This is your first step to transforming the maker culture in your school. I think you'll find that what really sets us apart from, say, a YouTube video is that we can connect the maker skills to field-tested projects that align with various standards like the NGSS while discussing some of the finer pedagogical strategies necessary to make these projects work in a real-world classroom. Next step, join us as we revolutionize maker education and earn the first of its kind maker certification credential from Rutgers University, while working with experts to bring the vision of your unique makerspace to become a reality.
One advantage is that we had more control over it. If we made mistakes, we could reshoot and edit the mistakes out. It's not so easy to do when live. And now we have a finished product that we can multi-purpose for other uses. In terms of disadvantages, of course, the biggest one we now find out is things can go wrong with technology. But also it took a good deal more time. It took a bit of time to create the video, as well as, here we are some 5-9 minutes in to our presentation and still haven't made a real introduction. So, or a live introduction, I should say. So I'm Dave Shernoff, Director of the CMSCE, and
Hi, I'm Suparna Sinha. I direct the in-district and professional development programs here at the center.
And so in this session, we're going to be considering the advantages, challenges, and promising practices of doing K-12 teacher professional development online in particular. And I should mention that we're actually relatively new to this. So we come at it not as highly experienced experts, although we really want to and need to be building that expertise. But since we're not quite there yet, we want to pick your brains and get the benefits of your experience with online learning and teaching and teacher PD. So we're going to start actually by asking you about your experiences so far. So just very basically, not even getting into teacher PD, but how many of you have been online learners? What have been your experiences with it? What sort of advantages and challenges do you see with online learning in general? And we open this up to anyone. Feel free to unmute if you would like to respond. Otherwise, probably stay muted. Okay. If there's no responses, just as well, because we did get off to a little bit of a late start. So we'll just move on to the next set of questions. We actually have 3 sets of questions. So Suparna?
So I see that, well, actually somebody wrote in the chat, Charlene said that she's been an online student for 10 years and she would like to teach online. So that's interesting. How many of you actually have previously taught online? What was your experience with that? Did you think it was interesting? Was it challenging? Feel free to jump in.
And you can feel free to use the chat as well as speak.
I think people can, yeah, oh, okay. So Brian's saying that there are benefits to it. He thinks that students appreciate the flexibility, but he finds collaboration to be a challenge. That is true. Yep, I agree.
I'm just wondering if Brian might want to say a little bit more, like what forms of collaboration he's tried and in what way was it a challenge? It's definitely a topic we will mention.
Yeah. Trying to get students to do peer review and discussions online. Yes. Yeah, we will address this issue later on in our presentation for sure.
Yeah, in general, I mean, I think that the really live, you know, hands-on like group where you can see each other and say edit something or work on a review together, I could see how online lacks that sort of spontaneous opportunity. But things like, you know, for every disadvantage, online does make some forms to overcome. So of course, peer editing, doing peer reviews, putting things on Google Docs. I mean, there certainly are a number of ways and tools to do that very sort of collaboration online. So as Suparna said, though, we'll get into these very topics.
All right. So now this is something that's new, as Dave said, this is new for us, but in terms of your experiences of prior professional development, what has been your chosen or your most favored medium? Is it like a face-to-face? Have you gone and done prior PDs that have been online where, you know, you have a bunch of material, you review it at your own time? Is it an ongoing training, or is it one where, you know, you are walking through the steps? It's a live webinar where you're trying to work through the material with an instructor. So what was your, I guess, most favorable or most, the PD format that worked best with you?
Now here we're focusing on teacher PD. Maybe not all of you are teachers, but maybe some of you are. And even if you're not, you might think to whatever professional development you've had in your career, it's simply a matter of what format you have preferred.
Face-to-face. Charlene says that face-to-face was most effective, and she has taught middle and high school students. Okay, so do you want to say a few words about why was it most effective for you? What were the advantages that you thought that face-to-face helped you?
Or any disadvantages, because we're going to be talking, or challenges. We're going to be, are there things that things that you didn't like about it as well? We'll be talking about both.
Oh, okay, of course. The
hands-on activities and the interactions with the instructor provided quick feedback. Ah, okay.
That's
Yeah, again, I mean, these in the moment activities where you can have many people in the same room certainly have an element of spontaneity, quick feedback that is hard to recapture. You might be getting a sense for that just even now in this session where, we're experiencing more of a lag of people responding by chat than you could imagine if things had gone as normal. In a room with, we could see each other's faces live, there would be more spontaneity. Okay, Charlene says I'm open to try fully online facilitated PD. Okay, great to have that sort of open-mindedness in this kind of a conference. That's what we're here for, to be open-minded about online learning.
We will share with you, Charlene, some resources for fully facilitated online PD as well later in the presentation. And feel free to get in touch with us. And we will be happy to send you information about our online PDs. All right, Dave, should we move on?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea in the interest of time. Okay, so what we can do with you is to first share some of the advantages and challenges and best practices according to the research literature. Second, we can share with you what we've started to develop in our own online PD and where we hope to go with it. And third, we're also putting a lot of faith that the value and richness of the ideas in this session can come from all of us through your experience and ideas and our discussion about these topics. And hopefully there will be more time towards the end of the session. Okay, many of the biggest advantages to online PD are shared by most online learning. They're not really unique to online teacher PD. So, of course, overcoming barriers of time and space is certainly among the biggest and most obvious advantages. It's not unique to teacher PD. Rather than PD having to be at a certain time, you can do it flexibly according to your own schedule. Rather than having it to be at a certain place, you can do it in the convenience of your own home. And increasingly, we all use mobile devices, phones, tablets, laptops. So you can really do it from wherever you are. And let's face it, these disadvantages get combined. You have to be at a certain place at a certain time. And of course, these barriers of time and space, or both together, may be completely prohibitive, and online learning completely overcomes this. Again, this is obvious, but still among the biggest advantages. More importantly for our topic today is that this is a particularly big plus for teachers who are so strapped for time, whose schedules are so packed, that it's a particular challenge to show up at a certain location at a certain time. And especially, and think about it, right? It's only what, after school, nights, and weekends, right? And so this can pose a significant challenge, keeping in mind that teachers do have lives and families. So online provides an open and flexible schedule. Okay, next slide, please. All right. Yes, flexibility and versatility. Compared to face-to-face PD, online teacher PD is convenient and adaptable, which can translate into higher quality. Teachers have different needs depending on subject, grade, students, context. So when properly structured, online PD can be customized to those needs. It can be customized so that information is stored, shared, and organized in different forms, say for different grade bands, and it can be easily updated. Information technology has made vast amounts of of information available, so people can search and obtain just what is needed, just at the time it is needed, and information can be interactive. Say a Google Doc where people come in and revise comments, make notes, etc. And once created, the number of people who can take advantage of it is potentially limitless. Okay, advanced slide, please. Yeah. Okay, so opening doors and creating a community of learners. So opening new doors to learning, online PD gets teachers' minds outside of school districts. They can acquire new content and teaching strategies from outside and from other teachers. In terms of a community of learners, online PD creates a common medium to reach into other communities in other geographic locations, other professional associations, and multiple other settings. For example, it can bridge a stronger link between teachers and administrators or among teachers of different disciplines. It potentially can connect schools with those of other districts in order to share practices and share artifacts more widely. In terms of peer-to-peer learning, teachers generally like learning from each other. Sometimes they respect only those in a similar position rather than professionals who don't really understand the full nature of their challenges in the classroom. Teacher participants can leverage technology to grow their professional networks. It can also position teachers both as resources and learners because it supports teachers to become resources for others as well as to be learners, because they can both tap into and be a part of the expanded tool of resources and information. And a lot of these things can happen through forums for collaboration, both synchronous, for example, live group chats, and asynchronous, such as discussion boards. Okay. Okay, some advantages for assessment and accountability. Yes, students can't hide in the back row. If synchronous, attendance is obvious and recordable. The quality of work is also very transparent and permanent. Again, it's recordable. It's easily monitored and analyzed. For example, the quality of students' posts. Lots of data can be monitored online and collected and analyzed by online software. In 4-credit courses, as many of us have experienced, students may actually be graded on the quality of active participation. So yes, the dreaded class participation component of the grade. I know this well from being a classroom teacher, most especially university instructor. And what I know is that this component is often subjective and reliant on memory, which is imperfect. So online is potentially more accurate, and participation itself can be better in online PD due to the convenience and flexibility. Another reason it can be better is the quality of thinking. Teacher participants have time to reflect and collect their thoughts before posting, contrasting to face-to-face. Teachers sometimes say they get to know students better online because they can sort of study them in a way and their patterns more thoughtfully. And assessments can be tailored to teachers' needs. Think of portfolios or journals kept during individualized projects. Okay. And we're going to skip this one in interest of time. Thank you. So yeah, just a little bit about affordability. The cost of face-to-face PD can often be significant, and that can limit the amount of PD that teachers get. Online technologies reduce costs of delivering PD in various ways. For example, districts can save money on live speakers, space, on print materials, furniture, insurance, and substitute teachers that they sometimes have to pay in order for teachers to do a face-to-face PD. And teachers, for their part, don't have to spend money on gas, clothes. Well, they hopefully are wearing some clothes, but maybe not as much, books and tuition. And I guess that's it on affordability. So yeah, increased engagement and involvement, which has always been a particular focus area for our center. It can offer some unique, that is online PD, can offer some unique, has unique offerings to pique teachers' unique interests, and teachers discover unique and engaging learning opportunities. There are many advanced courses out there, and online PDs on almost every imaginable topic, from STEM to mindset to technology, teacher health, and all from top accredited universities and elsewhere. So there's something for everyone, and it's often created by teachers for teachers and facilitated by teachers to provide timely feedback. It's also hard to teach online in a traditional textbook kind of a way. Online tools generally veer towards videos, chats, multimedia, online demonstrations, visual models, and interactivity, in addition to regular readings and lectures. So formats that can be engaging and bring theories to life. You can also bring in new, younger teachers who are more likely to be tech savvy. And okay, next slide, please. So, is online PD effective, and is it more effective than face-to-face? On the first question, evidence suggests that it's certainly effective. In one study, teachers who completed more online PD were higher on measures of teacher success, for example, retention and student discipline, and higher on student achievement with less dropout. As for if it's more effective than face-to-face, there was one empirical study funded by NSF that researched this very issue, comparing online and face-to-face groups covering the same content, and it did look at both student learning as well as teacher confidence measures of effectiveness. And the answer was, online PD was at least as effective as face-to-face. Teachers in both groups gained confidence with the materials, and students learned just as much with teachers who got their PD online. In comparing online and face-to-face versions of a science course called Try Science among science teachers, another study found that online participants were more reflective about their learning and about the inquiry process than their face-to-face participants. Importantly, teachers learned more science in the online course than in the face-to-face version. And next slide, and I think this brings us up to challenges, so I'm going to hand this back to you, Suparna.
The teachers are expected to be lifelong learners to participate in teacher professional development programs. And it's important because new content standards keep, they are developed, and they are expected, teachers expected to revise their pedagogy based on the new content that is added to them. And then existing PD, however, is difficult sometimes to meet the needs of the teachers, as they are usually in the form of a workshop, which is, they don't have follow-ups, and then they're usually in a content material or an area that the teacher is not teaching at that point of time. So there's a need to develop materials for online PD or online PD platforms that are able to cover relevant information, relevant topics, and ones that have the flexibility to be, looked upon or to find as a resource whenever the teacher needs to, and not just at the time of the PD. But there's some challenges to sustaining such online PD programs. Some of them are due to the following factors. First is the environment of authentic interactions. What that means is, well, having a sense of trust is essential to building any community, especially online communities. People are more likely to share their stories and their experiences if they know the people. So in addition to being able to communicate with group members in an online format, you must also have opportunities for folks to meet in an offline environment as well, so that they know who their group members are. And if people feel insecure about their personal information or their postings, they will not participate in online communities. And also you'll find that in online discussions, there are some people that as soon as you post some information, they'll be jumping right on, and they will post responses, and then others are not able to communicate as effectively. So it's important for moderators to ensure that while there's a critical mass of people who are engaging in the discussion, everybody gets a chance. In terms of accessibility, what is public and what is private has become very difficult to answer. Online communities are challenging because of the amount of information, the personal information that is available about you through Twitter or Facebook, and it's there for everyone to see. So people in online communities have to feel comfortable using that medium. Then again, the proficiency of knowing how to use specific technologies such as learning management systems or even this big blue button is or can be a deterrent to engaging in online professional development programs. So in the last slide, we identified some challenges to online PD. Here I'd like to draw your attention to some factors that contribute to sustaining such endeavors. Sometimes teachers feel a lack of confidence in their abilities to serve as valuable members of online professional communities. And this can be overcome if they're given the autonomy to decide which groups they want to be members of, and that's kind of guided by their interest in that topic and also the level of comfortability they have or the amount of proficiency they have in learning a new skill or a new technology. Sometimes teachers may not be driven to engage with the community because of their past experiences that may not have been so favorable. That is, they either didn't get an opportunity to share their views or their opinions didn't get due credit. So this hurdle can be overcome if moderators of the group ensure that everybody gets a chance to present their ideas and everybody's thoughts and feedback gets acknowledged. Then sometimes it's frustrating when you are not able to get tech support or technical difficulties, you run into technical difficulties and nobody's there to solve your problem in terms of how to overcome that problem, that hurdle. So if teachers are not able to navigate that technical hurdle in the learning community or in a professional online community, then they are hesitant to come back to it again. So it's important to provide clear and easy directions for folks to follow. And also, it's important that, I may have a small problem, and if I meet you next time, I can ask you, hey, how did you go about the thread discussion? And if you can tell me, all is well. So it's important to provide opportunities to engage them in some offline or face-to-face interactions as well. So overall, if teachers feel that their participation in such channels result in self-learning, it addresses some of their challenges or specific problems that they have. Or let's say if you're a new teacher and you realize that, hey, participating in these online discussions actually helps me increase or improve upon my pedagogy in classrooms, it's more likely that our teachers will go back to online communities and they will engage in a more meaningful manner. So we would like to share with you our online resource that we've developed. And if you can do the screen sharing, this will be interesting to show. Let me see. So this is our online portal on the Canvas learning management systems. And I would actually like to show you a video resource that we have on Maker education.
Hi, and welcome to Rutgers University Makerspace. My name is Todd Menadier, and today we're going to be giving you an introductory video on how to use the laser cutter. I personally love using the laser cutter. It allows students to be really creative with their designs and unique with their joinery. So today, basic introduction, we're going to go through how to set it up, how to design a little bit on CAD software, and then at the end you'll see how we can actually use it to make a Bluetooth speaker that students can use. All right, let's get started. Once you know how to do it on one, you can do it on any one of them. So what you do is you take each of the faces that you want to cut, and you create a new sketch on it. Click on the surface of the face, because of course whenever you start a sketch in Fusion, it's going to ask you where do you want to start the sketch. And then you just hit the letter P for project. It's a shortcut for project geometry. And then you just select, you move the mouse so that way the whole feature is selected. In this case it's red, some versions it's purple. Just hit OK. And now, as you'll notice, I'll hide the body, and I have one new sketch, and that's going to sit right on the edge of the laser head itself, and that's how we know that it's actually at the height that we want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and move the print head to about right here, because that's where it's flat on the material. Hello, this is Todd Menadier again from Rutgers Center for Science, Math, and Computer Education. You can follow us at Twitter at Rutgers CMSCE, and anything that we promote on our site or through Twitter is using the hashtag RutgersSTEM. Today I'm going to be following up the intro to laser cutting video that we posted on our site. They're more motivated, they're more engaged, and they're more likely to start talking about their projects in a meaningful way with their peers, their parents, and even outside of the classroom to a broader audience. Iterate on the computer before using materials that might be expensive or time-consuming. And now you're automatically pushing them to think like, oh, this is something that exists in the real world, this is something that I want to make, this is something that I think is really cool, let's go about figuring out how to do this.
Okay, so some additional offerings that we'd started to create include sample blogs, research articles, and potentially newsletters. We're calling our blog STEM Ed Briefs, and that's because the idea is a lot like a blog, but a little different. Our idea is to write a relatively short piece of like a page or two, like a blog, but make it a little bit more research or evidence-based, as one might expect from a leading research institution like Rutgers. So in the STEM Ed Briefs, we discuss a topic that is an interest or a focus area for the center, and discuss recent trends in the context of relevant research, and sometimes highlighting our own research. So the idea is a highly credible research-based blog that would distinguish it as a higher level product than you can get, that you could get only from a reputable university like Rutgers. But we also try to write the brief in a pretty accessible way, like a blog, rather than in a very scientific or researchy way that you might see in academic articles and books. And so here you can see, you probably saw a list of our topics like STEM, STEAM, makerspace, maker education. And as you can see, we have like references down at the bottom of our articles. You probably saw that so there's our list. Supporting challenges with STEM and STEAM, next generation science standards. And as you probably saw, if you go to the bottom of the articles, you see a list of references at the end. And then publications. And another area, we actually do provide access to our publications, our books, articles, books, book chapters, I mean. And as a Rutgers Center, we hope that one thing that distinguishes us is the high level of research that we conduct on the teacher professional development. So as you can see, we regularly publish our research, resulting in several publications a year. And where possible, we try to provide the link to the article itself, which leads either to the full text, or if it's open access, or to the publisher's page where it can be purchased. Similarly, we have some books that lead to the Amazon link. As for newsletters, this is something we're considering. We haven't produced it quite yet, but the idea would just be for us to provide brief updates on current events in STEM, STEAM, and maker education especially of those of interest to educators, and most likely within the state or local community. And I think since we're not quite, so you don't see that on our website, and since we're not quite there yet, that's probably enough on that. So let's just say a word or two about best practices, and maybe we can open this up. Can we get back to the slide deck?
Yep.
So of the many studies that have investigated the nature of interactions online, overall, there are indications that meaningful ways of engaging in dialogue can emerge, and that desirable thinking can develop through online interaction. Online discussions and individual contributions can be reflective, interactive, collaborative, and community building. In one study that found that markers of community participation, like developing a shared identity, social networking, they were present in online environment, even though there weren't even direct attempts made to foster it. But the author suggested that collaborative learning tasks demanded of the students really contributed to that sense of community. So there, it's not giving up on doing those collaborative projects and those collaborative tasks, but using the online tools. In another study, found that in general, students explored their beliefs about inquiry-based learning more when asked pointed, focused questions. So here the instructor intervention was necessary, especially in terms of asking those pointed, focused questions. In most in-depth discussions were those that involved in-service teachers acting as a mentor capacity, or those sessions in which the discussion was centered on a video-based example of teacher practice. So actually throughout the teacher PD literature, that's one very effective practice that you find is teachers together looking at videos of instruction, especially if it can drill down into analyzing student thinking in order to improve instruction. So that's another promising practice. In terms of our own goals, one of them is to, stay evidence-based. In maker education, often it's a big hump just to be able to learn those makerspace tools like 3D printing, laser cutting. And so, but what's much less understood is how you can weave those tools into effective lessons, into the pedagogical principles to elicit high quality of student understanding. So that's a niche that we try to fill. In the fall, we're launching a maker certificate, maker education certificate as a 4-credit program, and we're doing this in hybrid format because for sure there's a need for some classes to be face-to-face in order to use that makerspace equipment. So we designed it in hybrid, sort of like a flipped classroom, but rather than the online classes being for absorbing information, it allows students to design, research, collaborate, post, and on the maker projects in addition to traditional readings and other direct materials. So we use electronic portfolios, journals, reflections, and so forth. That just gives you a sense of some promising practice and some things we're shooting for. In what little time we have left, we would really appreciate any ideas you might have about suggestions for online PD, things that have worked well or you think might work well, maybe something I mentioned, something we did mention. Yes, we see we have 2 minutes left, which is perfect because we're done with our formal presentation and can safely use these last 2 minutes to open it up for your ideas, your suggestions, or if you just have a question that you'd like to ask, that this is we can combine this with a Q&A as well. Please don't be shy. Remember, one of the advantages of online is you have plenty of time to think about your question. And
we also have some resources on our online portal for virtual teaching and learning that you can check out. They're like small webinars and small podcasts, or rather we call them workshop trailers that can be found beautiful, complete PDs as well.
The link that Suparna just put up is to our online portal, and from that one link, you can actually access almost everything. I think actually everything we were going to show today, all the videos we were going to show that we weren't able to, unfortunately, the blogs, the publications, the newsletters. So consider it sort of a free bonus for attending the conference and attending our session.
And feel free to get in touch with us if you have any questions about engaging in online teaching and learning, or if you have an interest in a professional development program, either at your school or online, or even at the center.
So I'm assuming our time is just about up. So I did just want to say thank you to everyone who joined our session. We hope you found it useful and relevant, and certainly these days timely. And also thanks to the moderators and conference organizers and other people who made this all possible.
Thank you so much.